Scott from Jury. If you are studying C programming language or you are struggling, I made this video specifically for you. We're going to cover the following: IDEs, C structure, run your first program, printf, data types and variables, output of variables, scanf, fgets, comments, working with numbers, functions, if statements, loops and arrays. So here now I'm going to start with explaining the IDE for coding C. So the IDEs that I have got two IDEs that I want to explain. So you could just have one of these IDEs. So I want to teach you both of these IDEs so that you could now choose depending on what you feel like is the best for you. But after I've shown you the IDEs, I want to also just give you just my opinion on what I feel like is the best IDE for coding. So I'll just open this dev C++ and I'll open also the code blocks. So for now I'll just show you on how to create a new project in dev C++ and in code blocks. So the process is just similar, it's probably the same, except that in code blocks there are two ways you could use. Like the first way is you could just go on create a new project, then you continue, or you could go on file, then new, then go to project, then it will take you to this same place. Then in dev C++ you have to go on file, then new, then project, and you could see that the process is the same, and also these templates are the same. So here now, after you have been given this, you have to select the input and the output where you want to present your C programs. So don't mind about this. You just have to select on console application whenever that you want to create your project, your C project. Just select on console application, and also in dev C++ select on console application. Then here I want to stress out that in dev C++ it was really meant for C++ project, so you could also support C. So most of the times maybe your this one is a radio button, it could be on C++, you have to change it to go to C, then make it a default. Then here after you have clicked on console, click on go, so that you have the option for changing from C++ to C. After doing so, on here on this dev C++, you have to write the name of the project. So let's say it's an assignment, you have to write here assignment, then the question number, so that whatever that you are going to give will know whatever this is. So here, since we are doing an intro, I'll just say an intro. Then here after choosing or after selecting the programming language that you want to use, click on next. Then here you have the option for writing the name of your C file program. So this one is an intro. Okay, so after doing this, so now you could see that these things are the same, but you will find out the IDs are different somehow. So here I'll click on OK, and you have this now. So here it is just giving you an option to select the folder that you wanna save your file, your C project file in. So most probably you have to create a new folder, so that your project will be in or maybe you have a folder already that you put your C folders. It will be just fine, just select that folder. So I'll just go on desktop, and then I'll create a new folder here. And then this one I'll just call it intro folder. So let's say it's an assignment, you probably have to write that it's an assignment or it's a test, whatever it is. You have to write whatever that has to do with the program that you're doing. So click on open, then click on save. After doing so, you are almost done. So here now it's the same. If you want to change because on code blocks it will just be putting your C program files in a default folder, which is the documents. So if you want to change that, if you want to create a new folder, just click on this menu, and it will do the same and create a new folder, then put your programs in there. So since I already have a folder that I've created where I put my C programs, I just click on this C programming, then click on OK, then here click on next, then click on finish. So now we are at the same point. So you might be wondering where the default programming C program is. So here now on on code blocks, you have to go on this source folder, just click on this small plus, then you have this main.c file, so just double click on that. So what happens now is that on code blocks it have already made this main.c file, but on this dev C++, it will make it the moment you just start running your C file program. So to just check out this, you'll find that here we have this basic C program structure, and also in this dev C++ we also have this. So let me make this a little bit bigger. Here we have this comment. It doesn't matter, I will tell you about the comments. It is in this video tutorial. I'll tell you how to make these comments. It doesn't matter, it should be, it's nothing, you can just remove this, it doesn't matter. Also, what's the most important part of the C program language, the basic structure, is this include.stdio.h. sorry, it's includes stdio.h. So what does this mean? It just means a standard input output. So I'll show you the standard input and output just now. So here on this dev C++, it will include some features that are not necessary, like in this main file, in this main function, it will put these parameters which we don't want to use, but it will just put these. So you could delete this or just leave them there. Nothing will affect your programs, but I'll just show you that it's just safe to remove these things inside these packets. So that you now have the basic structure of the C programming language. And then here we already have the basic structure, and we have this statement which is just printing the hello world. So let's run this to see if the program is running. So there's this one thing that I didn't tell you. Let me close. So in here in C, in these IDEs, there are two steps which have to be done for you to run a program. The first step is to build or compile. So there's this button which is build button, which means that for building, it just means that this compiler is this IDE is changing whatever that is on here in it. It is changing it to in a language that the computer will understand, right? So that is building or compiling. Then the second step we have to do is to run. So there is a shortcut to just build and run, which is by clicking this button, which just does the building and the running. So here we have our basic hello world, and also it's the same when it comes to dev C++. When you come here to execute, you have the compile, which is building, and you have the run, which is running your project. So we have also the compile and run, which is the shortcut, compile and run. And you could also see the short keys, which is the F12. You could just click on F12 and run your program. So here, if we compile this, if you execute, right, and you wanna compare and run, it was F11. So if you wanna compare and run, so as I was saying, like in code blocks, it have already made this main.c, which is a C file, but this dev didn't make that. So now it's now making it. You have to click on save, and it is done. So here now I've just run this, The other thing that I don't like about this dev C++ is just that it takes a long time to open this. So what you are seeing in front of you here is what is known as the standard input or output. So what this thing does, it displays whatever that we want to display, and also it is the one that we use to input whatever that we want to input inside. So we'll get to that part, don't worry about it. So I just wanted you to know that the reason that we are including this standard input or output, it is that we should be we'll be able to display this output or input. So now the other thing that I want you to get from this ID is the difference between this ID is that, let's say I want to write this simple program which will print out whatever, let me say print out hello world. So don't worry about this printf, I'll explain to you what it is if you don't know yet. So we have the printf, and you will see that I've been typing everything, and let's say my name is wow, what is that, Godfrey. So now let me remove this. I left out something which is important here, and I'll explain to you when we come to that part. Okay, so here now let's say I just type in before I even finish, it will give you some options for you to choose. So the fastest way you could write your C programs is just to click on the tab button. After doing so, it will automatically write for you, and then you just have to write whatever that you want. Okay, so that's pretty much all about the IDEs. So you now have to choose between the code blocks and the dev C++, but mostly I like to use the code blocks. So you could continue up with the dev C++, and whatever that we'll be doing is the same. As you can see, the structure is the same. It's the C structure, the basic structure is absolutely the same. So keep on using dev C++ if you want, but on this tutorial I'm going to be using code blocks because it's a little bit faster, and I just like it. Okay, so let me close up this now, dev plus, and it's asking me if I want to save this or no. So if it is something that is important to you or something that you want to use later on, make sure that you click on yes. But for now I don't need to save this, so I'll just click on no, and then let me make this big. Okay, so since I told you like this is the basic structure of C programming language, excluding this is now an instruction that have been already placed. So I will talk about this instruction, what it does. So it's a printf, it's a function, a print function. It's different though from this main function, and I'll explain this main function while we'll be starting doing some function. So what you just have to know for now about this main function is that whatever that you want to write, whatever instruction that you want to input in C, it should be in this main function, right? So you know that is a function because of these parentheses and also the curly brackets. So whatever that you want to write should be inside the curly brackets, the first curly brackets, and this returns 0 and the closing bracket. I don't know if I confused you there. So I'm saying that whatever program that you want to do, it should be inside the main function. And don't worry if you don't know what the function is. I will teach you the functions, and you know the function, the different kind of functions. So here we have a basic print function. Sorry, I closed this by clicking on the subtract. Okay, so I'll just bring that up. So we have this printf. So for you to not forget this, just know this as a print function. It's something which prints things, right? It's a function which prints things. So let's run this. You find out it will print the hello world. It will print whatever that is inside the brackets. So this print function, we also have this semicolon. So this will just tell C that we are done with the instruction that is here. It just tells C that we are done, it is ready for another instruction. So let's say so there is also this trick that I want to teach you. If you press Ctrl and D, you duplicate the line, it will just come down. And there's also one thing that I want to teach you while we are still on the printing app function. So when I build and run this, you'll find out these lines will be in straight line, like it will be in one line, but here I written this like the other one on top and the other one down here on the bottom. But now you find out these are now in the same line, which is something which you don't want. Maybe you want it, you'll find situations you want it. So to create a new line, just put this small slash and then n for a new line. So mind you, you have to see that this slash and small n are inside the double quotes. So here, if I build and run, whatever that have been written here, then it creates a new line down here and create another and run the next instruction, create another new line. So here, and as I was telling you that the semicolon is just tells C that this function, this instruction is done, now go to the next instruction. That is why we had the hello world on top and another hello world on the bottom. So this printf is just for printing. So let's say I just wanna create a small rectangle, and I want to emphasize something by doing this, and I'll just put these spaces and this. So that trick again, Ctrl and D for duplicating, and then let me delete this space. Okay, put the underscores. I think that's enough. Let's print this basic rectangle. So we have printed out this basic rectangle using the printf. So we are not gonna be using this. We're gonna be drawing some shapes using the for loops. For now, I just want to emphasize on the printing function and also on how the C executes instructions. So as I've told you that the C will execute instructions in order, it will not jump any instruction. So let's say I take these first two instructions to the top here and run this program. You'll find out that now we have this different shape, and it is because C will execute instructions going down as they are in order. So that's how exactly the printf and the instructions are executed in C. Okay, so I decided to cover up the data types and the variables at once because these things, they're kind of lengthy. There's nothing you could do with the data type without a variable, and also there's nothing you can't use a variable without a data type. So let me first explain the data type. What is a data type? Well, it's self-explanatory, right? It's type of data. Okay, so what am I saying right now is that let's say we have 25, right? If I'm asked what type of data it is an integer, right? It's a number. So if I have like my name, like Godfrey, it is a string, it is a text. Like a string and a text is all the same. So that's a data type. We are just saying what is the type of the data. Is it a text or it is a number? Is it an integer? So in C we have kind of like 3 basic data types. So let me show you the basic data types we have. So we have got the numbers, and the numbers we have got 2 basic data types under the numbers. We've got an integer, which you could just write like int for integer. So what is an integer? Here in C, in programming language, any programming language, an integer is just a whole number without any comma. It's just a whole number. So while I've written this data type, right, I want to explain also what are known as a variable. So a variable is just a container which we use to store whatever that you want, whatever data that you want to hold. You have to use variables. And don't worry, I'm getting deep into it, don't worry. Okay, so here let's say we want to have a variable that will hold up the number, let's say age, right? In age it is a whole number, so we could just go like age and say it is equal to. So what I've done here, I've written the data type and then the name of whatever the variable is. So the name doesn't matter, but what I want to emphasize here is that maybe you have like a longer data type, or like the data type which consists of 2 words. What I want to make sure that you know is that you don't space the variable. If you have a longer, like let's say you have age, let's say your variable is like kids age, and I want you to notice something. If you want to space up, you make use of an underscore, right? Don't use a space. Or you could use this method, you could just leave it like this, kids, then start a capital letter. Am I saying right? A capital letter, right? Yeah. And start a capital letter, then write the next word in front of it. So let's say it's kids age, then you are saying the age. So one more thing I want to emphasize, under the integer or any number, when you wanna put a number in a variable, or if you want to display a number, what you have to know is that you don't have to put any quotes, you don't have to put any quotation marks. Like you see what I'll be talking about when we get to the other data types. So you just write like the number that you wanna put, and put the semicolon to tell that we are done with this step of putting 14 into the data type which is called kids age. So let me explain again. We have been creating a data type, we have been creating a variable known as kids age. So this kids age is gonna hold up the age of the kid, and now we're saying that the age is in form of numbers, so we specify that the variable here should hold only numbers. So that's why this int comes from. It is telling that we are holding numbers in this variable. So whenever that you want to create a variable, you first specify the data type, like whatever that is going to be holding that variable should only be of integers, or should only be of text. So what I'm saying also, let me give you an example. Let's say we wanna have a cardboard box which only holds apples. That cardboard box cannot have, I said cardboard box, cannot have oranges inside of it if you wanna just keep apples in that cardboard box. So that's the same here. We have our cardboard box which will only store numbers, and we have said that by specifying the data type. So the other data type that we have under the numbers is the double, and we also have the float. So we have the double. So the double is a data type that contains decimal places. It holds decimal numbers. So here we have data type which is of decimal numbers. So let me think of something that here I've got commas, decimal numbers. Let's say a height, right? Height, you have got written commas, right? They are all numbers probably, but most of the times the height have got commas. So let's say I'm 26.8. Yeah, so the comma here, notice that I used the full stop, the dot, that is the comma, then I'll put the semicolon. So we also have the float. So the float also is probably somewhere close to double. So I'm not going to explain what the float is now, because the basic data types that you're gonna need for you to start up C programming language is the whole number and the number which have got decimals. So the third data type that I want to talk about is the character data type. So you just type like CHAR for character, you shorten that. So what is a character? A character is just a single letter. So this now is a data type that only holds a single letter. So let's say we want to create a variable that is gonna hold if a single letter. So let's say our variable is sex. It is gonna hold whether it is a person is a male or a female. So here now this is something that I need to emphasize. So I said when we are using numbers, you don't put you don't put any quotes, you don't put double quotes or single quotes. But when it comes to text, when it comes to letters, you make sure that you make use of quotes. So here now we are dealing with a character. This one is a single character, so you put also single quotes. We want to display only single characters. So here let's say a person is a male, right? We put single characters and then we put the data that we want into their variable. So here what we have been doing by assigning these variables some values, we have been initializing the variables. And what is to initialize? Is just a starting value, right? So this variable, this sex variable, didn't have anything, but the moment we gave it this m value, now this container contains this value, right? So since I've talked about the printf function, let's play with that. But first there's also other data type that I want to talk about, but in C programming language it is not determined as a data type. It is actually a modification of this character data type. So that one is called a string. So in C we can only display a string using arrays, and if you don't want to know what an array is, don't worry about it, I'm explaining everything for you. Okay, so let me explain what is an array. So basically an array is just let me show you what an array is. Okay, let me close this. Okay, so this is an example that I have for you. So here we have got some small box containers here. The first box is named 0, 1, 2, 3. So this whole thing is what is known as a character. Sorry, I just messed that up. This thing is what is known as an array. Sorry, now I'm feeling sleepy, right? Yeah. So this is what is known as an array. So an array is just a series of small containers that you could put data inside of it. So let's say we have got this whole thing is a big box, right? And it have some partitions, some divisions. So in these boxes you could put whatever that you want in the first box, whatever that you want in any other box. So let's say in this first box we have got a dog, and then in the third box we have got a cat. So that's what an array is. It's just a series of containers which could hold data of the same data type, right? So let's say right here we have a box that is going to hold animals. so we cannot put some bicycle inside or whatever that is not an animal inside here. So that's an array. It's more like it's a variable, but it have got some main characters, so some main partitions, some main containers in it. So what we want to do here, we want to modify a character so that we could be able to put many characters in a single variable. So let me do this by showing you what I'm saying. So we said we have a data type, we have a data type which is a character, right? So let's say I wanna write up my name. So what I will do is that I'll create a variable which is called, let's say, name, which is gonna hold names for me. Let me just say name. Where did I type in? Let me just say name. So this variable is gonna hold my name, right? So here now, to create an array, it is very simple. You just put some square brackets, and this will tell that this variable is an array. It is going to hold many partitions. It is going to have some containers in it. So I've said that when it is a single letter here, it's what is a character, right? So if you want to display many characters, let me open up here. You want to display many characters, so this will not be called a string. If I put double quotes here and I want to say like my jury, now we have got many characters. We have got 1 2 3 4 5 6 characters, and to display these 6 characters you have to display them in an array. We are just saying we are making a variable which have got some containers in it, which will put each and every container its own character. So that's the modification of the character to put it in arrays. So here I've tried to explain it a little bit brief, but don't worry, we're gonna be doing some arrays just a little bit further. So we put the semicolons till the C. We are done here. So these are the basic data types. So don't worry, now we want to use these data types so that you understand what I've been saying. Okay, since we started doing this programming, we have been just talking about the printf function, and we have been using this to print out some text inside of it. So what if we want to print out some numbers? We want to print out a number with a decimal number. We want to print out a string. This is now what we want to talk about. So for just printing out a text which is just a constant, we don't worry much about that. If you just print out, fine. But then if we want to print out a number, let's say for instance I write printf, then I just write a number inside here, and we said we don't put double quotes or any quotes, and I will try to run this. It will give me an error. So what C language wants is for you first to specify the data type, and we use what we call the format specifiers. So these will tell that the print function that we want to print out a number, or we want to print out a decimal number, or we want to print out a string. So the first format specifier we want to talk about is the one which works with an integer, which is a percent and d. So this one is used for presenting a number. So if I write percent d and then comma, and one more thing, what I did wrong here is that you have to put these format specifiers inside double quotes. So first double quotes, then goes percent d. Then if I write any number now and build and run this, oh, it is still giving me an error because I didn't close this. I didn't put the semicolon. So please don't forget to put this. I always forget, I don't know why. Okay, build and run. So you find out now it is writing a number. So that's how these format specifier works. This printf will not be able to just print out any number or a decimal number without specifying first the data type that you want to print out. So the second let me remove this, or let me just leave it like that. Now the second format specifier that I want to talk about is the one that works with the numbers that are decimal numbers. So print f again is the one that works with what, with decimal numbers. So we, on decimal numbers, we have the double and we also have a float. So I'm gonna talk about the double on this video, and the floats, it will not be our data type on this video today. So let's the format specifier that we use for the double is a percent and in RF, then comma, and we write, let's write a double here. Let's write a double. Okay, I'm keeping on forgetting to put the semicolons. Okay, so you'll find out now we have this number, and it's now attached to this 13. Let me fix that. So we need a new line here, and for a new line, let's run this again. Okay, it just created a new line on top there. What is happening here? Okay, let's create a new line here. Okay, new line. Give us a new line, give us a new line, give us a new line, give us a new line. There you go. Now we have a new line. So what you see now, what I want to talk about is that this double now, it have so many zeros in front of it, and it is because C would like to make the number a little bit more precise by adding some more zeros. So that's how we will be able to print out the double. The other data type that we want to display is a character. So a character, we use a format specifier, which is a percent and a C for character. Then let's write a character. So once more, if you are making use of characters, you put single quotes, don't forget that. So let's use arm. Okay, our M is in front of our number, which means we need another new line here. Let's create a new line. Okay, now we have our single character. So now, what if you wanna present a string like the text that we talk about, which is an array? So we write printf, and the format specifier that we use for a string is just in S. So it's percent in S for a string, then comma, then you write the string. So this is my string. So by the way, today is my birthday, so let's say today is my birthday. B-day. Okay, so let's run this. Oh, why do I always keep on forgetting? Okay, now we have M, and we need a new line again. We need a new line, we need a new line, we need a new line, so that descending will be on its own row. So today is my B-day. So that's all we have on presenting an integer, presenting a double, presenting a character, presenting a string. So now let's say the values that we have are in variables. How we will work with this? So let's create some variables here. let's create a variable that will hold an integer value. So let's say now it will hold age for me, and well, let's use a different name now. Let's say it will hold price equals to, then this variable we want to give it a value. Let's say it's 15. Then if we want to now present the value inside this price variable, we just let me remove everything and start afresh. Printf, then we specify the data type that we want to present, which is an integer, so it's %d. Then now here, when we have been writing just an integer, we have been writing here the integer after the comma. So here now, instead of writing an integer, the value, we are now want to get the value from the price variable. So we will write the variable here, price, and let me just put a new line to be safe now. Okay, so now we have got 15, but here we didn't write 15. So now this printf function is getting the value from this variable, and it's knowing that the variable is holding an integer value using this format specifier. So where we will probably mostly use these variables. So let's say we have a short story, so I'll post this so that I'll finish up fast. Okay, so now I want to give a situation where we could use variables. So here I have a small paragraph which I've been saying about myself, so you could read out this yourself. So the situation now I want to say where we could use variables is that, let's say we have like a big page with a story, and we want to make some updates. Let's say here I say my name is what. So we would like to make some changes on the paragraph, or let's say on the page. So to do that faster, it's wiser to make use of variables where we would not need to keep on tracking of our data. So the reason for using variables is that we'll be making use whenever that we are coding, we'll be making use of data, and we would not like to keep on tracking that data. So it's best if you use variables so that it will be easy to keep on tracking that data. So let's create a variable here, and okay, before doing that, let's say I have this story of mine, and I want to change now the years that I just got, and I say I want 21, and we run that. Now I have 21 years, right? But let's say now I have like a big page which I have written out my current years, and I would like to change that. It probably means that I will have to go and search everywhere where I've written 20 and change it to 21. So that would be like, I don't know, too much. So to do that easily, we just create a variable like an int, then let's say age is equals to 20, right, in class. So as I've talked about this on how to print out the age variables, the integers, we said we'll make use of a format specifier. So this format specifier will be a placeholder for the value that you want to display. So here we want to display an integer, so it's %d, and then after this these double quotes, we write the variable that is holding the value that we want to replace here on this %d, which is the format specifier. So the variable here is age. So let me run this. You find that now this 20 is available, and it's being taken from this age variable. So let's say we want to change that, and we have been doing this for the whole page. you just have to come here and change the value, like 34, and run the program. You'll see that it will automatically change. So it is easy to keep tracking of your data by making use of variables. So one more thing, let's do I have a double in this story of mine? I don't have a double, so let me just quickly do that. So let me say my height is, then we want to display the height, so it will be a double, so percent, and the double we use LF for the double. And then let's create a variable here that is going to hold the double. So to create a double, you just write double, and to create a double variable, we talked about this, you just write double, then you write the name of the variable. So in our case it's the height, then let's say 15.8. so now I don't need this smiley face, I'm talking about my height here. Okay, so let's write the height variable here, so that this format specifier will get the value from this height variable. So let's run this, and I have an error here. Where is my situation? Okay, so you probably have to keep on tracking. So one more trick here that I want to show you is that whenever you run a program and you have an error, probably mostly that it's most of the times is most likely that the program that is above this error is the one that you have a problem. So in our case it is this one. I didn't put the semicolon, so let's run this, and we have our double. My height is 15 points, and now to many zeros in front. So so that's basically how we output variables. We make use of format specifiers, and as format specifiers, let me just write them down again, so that to just recap, we have the percent div for an integer, and we have the percent LF for a double, and we have the percent C for a character, and we have percent S for a string. And here I didn't use the character and the string format specifiers, so let me just do that quickly on our story here. So let's say maybe I would like to change my name later, so I can change this to percent S for a string, and here now you have to write your variables in order. So here let me first create a variable that will hold my name. So in this case we are creating a character, but that character, its name is the variable's name is name. Then we want to hold two main characters, so we put square brackets to tell that it is an array. Then I write my name here, and so I'll just copy BC variable and put it here, and don't forget the comma, and I almost forgot to put the semicolon. Let's run this. So we still have our story with the name Godfrey. So let's say now I want to change the variable name, so to Timbo, and I run this. So now we have a different string here. So that's how we use a string a string format specifier. What else did we left? We left the characters. So let me just quickly make a character here. So sexy and character, I'm a male. So we'll duplicate this and just write let me say my type of no, this is a bit weird. Okay, let me just type like my sex is, then percent C for the character, then we write the variable name that we wanna present, or that is gonna hold the value for this percent C. So the variable is sex. Okay, so let's run this again. Why is it taking long? We have a problem here. So as I've told you, like if we have an error here, it's mostly probably that mean that the instruction above this error is the one which is wrong. So I forgot again the semicolon. I don't know why I keep on forgetting that. Okay, so we have now the character here. Okay, now so let's talk about the scanf function. So we have been using the printf function, and we said that we have this module which includes we said hash include the module stdio.h, which is for standard input output. So for the output we have been using the printf function. Let me run it. So once again, I told you this is the standard input or output. So what this does, you are able to output and you are also able to input values using this standard input and output form. So so let's start with how the scanf works. So basically, first you want to tell the user what to input. You want to tell the user what to do. So the first step we could do is just to tell the user. So let's start with the basic data type. The first data type, which is an integer. So we say enter your age. Enter your age, and we need a new line here. Then here now we are telling the user to enter the age, but what if the user enter the age where the age will be? So we need to give that age, we need to take that age and put it in a variable. So first we create a variable that is gonna hold the age, and then here now we don't assign a value like what we have been doing, like we said equals to, then we give the value here. Now we wanna put the value using the standard input to this variable, so we don't assign a value here. So we use now the scanf function to get the value from the user to put it in this variable. So it's pretty much the same with the printf function. The scanf is the same with the printf function. You have to tell the scanf function what data you wanna input. So we also make use of format specifiers. So double quotes, then you specify the data type, which is the integer d. Then here now, okay, so now here we also write the variable name, the variable that we are going to put the data into. So one more thing here, you have to put the percent and then the variable name. And let's close this. So now what we have done here, we have told the user to enter his or her age. After the user have entered the age, that age will be scanned and put into this age variable, and after that then we would like just to print out the value in this variable so that we know that it have worked. So we specify the data type, which is D, and we write the age variable. So you notice that when we are printing out, we don't put the %, then the variable name. But when we are scanning, it's a must to put this %. We only don't use the %% when we are scanning for a string. And so let's get into it. So first let's run this and see what we'll get out. So now it is telling the user to enter the age. So let me write, I'm now 20. Press enter, and then it will give us 20 back because now we are printing out here. So we could write whatever that we want now, like I turned 20 now. Okay, so let's run this. Enter your age 20, then I turned 20 now. So wherever this %D will be is where your value will be placed. So it's a placeholder. So this is how we will get a value from a user, which is a whole number. So now let's talk about a value which is a double, which is a decimal number, and we said we make use of double. So here now double. So let's try to think out of a number that can be that can have a decimal. So let's say just meet weight. I don't know if this is the spelling, but it should be the spelling. So once more again, if you have two words, you combine them using the underscore, you don't space out here. So here now I wanted to give this weight a value, which is something we don't want to do. We just close this because we want to get the value from the user. So this time we changed let me just retype this. So first we want to tell the user to enter meet weight, and we need a new line. Then after the user have entered the meet weight, we now want to scan for that value, scanf. Then for the scanf we have to specify the data type by using a format specifier, which is a %, and we need and we'll use LF since we are dealing with the double, then comma, and write the data, the variable. So that's one more thing why I like code blocks. It will just finish up some words for you, and then after having the weight from the user, we would like to just print out this. So let's say so the weight of meat is, then we put the placeholder here in this %LF because we want to present a double here, and then we write the variable name. And there's one more thing that I forgot, which is to put the %, here. So you should also not forget that. Let's run this and enter the meat weight. So I've got 18. Let me write a number here. Then here we will have the weight of the meat is 13.900. So let's say I just want to end a whole number here. Let's see what we will get. It will put some decimal places because it is expecting a double. So that's how we scan, and that's how we get a value from the user. So specifically we have tell the user here, this instruction is telling the user to input a weight of meat, then this scanf function instruction is getting that value and put it into this variable. Then this print function is just printing out the value in the variable. So that's all on the double. Let's now go into character, which is pretty simple. So we have to create a variable first, which is gonna hold the character that we're gonna be getting. So this is the basic type of character variable that I could think of. So we don't assign a value here, then we tell like user what to do. So we want to tell the user to enter his or her sex. Then here we need a new line, and we close this. Then we want to get the value from the user, so we use the scanf function. Then specify the data type, the same percent %c. Our data type is a character. Then here now we use a %end, and we write the variable, which is sex. And now we want to print out the value in the sex variable. And to do so, we first tell the printer function the data type that we want to present, and it's a character. And here now we write the variable name, and we could write whatever that we want behind or in front of this placeholder. So we could write like my sex is. So let's run this. Enter your sex, I'm a male. Enter my sex is M. So that's how we write a character. Now let's go for the string. So this part is where it gets a little bit tricky. So let's first make a variable. Sorry, this variable is a character, and this variable, let's say it's gonna hold a full name. Or let me just type like, it's gonna hold the first name, and notice that I didn't space out, I just combine this. If you wanna space this, make use of an underscore. Okay, so this now variable, we wanna hold two main characters, of which we assigned this variable a character data type. So to do so, we tell it that we need an array. But now, since we are not initializing this array, we have to tell this C program that this array should hold how many containers, should have how many containers. Like for instance, if you look at this array, it have got 1 2 3 4 5 6 partitions, 6 containers. So it is holding A, B, C, D, E, and the last container could be empty, it could have nothing. So that's what we want to tell now C program, that we need an array, or we need a container that have got some partitions, and we have to specify the maximum number of the partitions that we need. So for instance, let's say we could choose 50, or just think of a bigger number that you think like the names will be able to fit in that. So you have to specify the maximum number here of the characters that of any name that you may think of. Then we again tell the user to enter his or her name. Then let me just put a new line here. Okay, it should be inside here, new line. And we now need that that value, that name that the user have entered. So we use again as scanf, and we specify the data type by using a percent, and the name now is a string, so we use s. And then I told you, like, for the integer and the double and the character, we use the percent end, but on this string we don't use the percent end. This we don't use it, we just write the variable name. So in our case it's the first name. Then here now we would like to print out the value in the variable. So we specify the data type, then we print out by writing. Okay, so I could write something like inside here, like my name is, then the first name. So let's run this. Enter your name, Godfrey. Then my name is Godfrey. Now the tricky part comes when you wanna write your full name. Let's say my name is Godfrey Majuri, and I wanna write a full name, and I press enter. You'll find out that it just said my name is Godfrey, and it will not write Majuri, and it's because there is a space. So see, the moment since this string is not recognized as a data type in C, we can get around this by making use of an fgets function. So an fget function, it makes use of the standard input io.h. So let's use the fgets here. So it's similar to the scanf, but now the difference is just that you first write the variable name that you wanna put the value. So in our case it's the first name. Then here now you specify the maximum number of the characters that you wanna put inside here, like this one. So I'll just repeat this 50. Then now you have to tell this fgets function, or it's fgets, not fgets. See, so it's fgets with an s, and you want to tell this fgets function where to get the value. So you tell it, like, we are using a standard std stdi. So in this case now we don't want the output, we are getting from the input, so it's std in. That's the way you use it. We are getting from the standard input. And let's try out again. So enter your name, Godfrey Senior Majuri. Then here it will be able to present everything that you have written. So that's the other way around of writing and of getting the string from a user which have got some spaces on it. You make use of the fgets function. Okay, now so let me quickly talk about the commenting and the comments here. So the comments, for you to just probably get what they are, I would like to give you an example. So let's take it, for example, you are working with your guys, and let's say you are working with your friend, right? And there is this person in front of you, and you just give a comment about that person in front, but you don't tell that person. So you just tell your friends just a comment about the person. So here you have to get that the comment is about the person in front of you, but it doesn't impact the person in front of you because the person in front of you doesn't hear the comment, right? Then this comment only just affects the friends that are hearing what you're saying, right? So here now is the same with the C programming. You are able to write comments about something. So let's say I just write a simple instruction here to print, let's say, hello world. So I could use comment to comment this instruction, right? I can comment this instruction like saying this is, and let me just do it. So to create a function, sorry, to create a comment, there are two ways of doing that. If you want to just create a one-line comment, you put double slashes, and then you say like this is an instruction for printing hello world. Okay, we don't have W here, so you find out if so here this is a way of writing a comment in one line. So if I come down here and try to write something new, you find out it will be now black, which means it is no longer a comment. So the other way of writing a comment is by making use of a slash and an asterisk, then an asterisk again to close the comment, then a slash to close the comment. So your comment will be in between here. So if I say like this is an instruction, and then I just messed up the spelling of instruction. Okay, so I can go down here and continue like with my commenting, like to say hello, okay. So these are the two basic kind of comments in C. This one you are able to write multiple lines, and this one you are able to just write one line. So as I was saying, these comments, they are commenting whatever that you want to comment. Maybe it's an instruction, right? But these comments, they don't affect the instruction, right? You have to get that. So this instruction is the guy which is in front, right? Or you could even put your comments down here below, but I'm just referencing from our example that this instruction is the guy. Then the friends now take it as a person who is viewing your project, or it's you. Maybe after some years you won't remember like what the program was doing, so it's you, you who write this comment, it's you who said the comment, so you know probably what you said about the person, right? And I didn't cross this. So it's you, you know the comment, and also any human being can also read the comment. So C will just ignore these comments because it will not read these as instructions unless you remove this and you want to run this. It will give you an error because it is now being run by C. So you have to close it, and let's say we want to run this again. We are able to just print out the hello world without these things in here. So that's commenting. Okay, now let's do some math operations. So whenever that you will be dealing with a math problem, you're gonna be needing to make use of mathematical operators like the plus, the minus, the times, the division, and also the modulus. This one is let me just explain these in code blocks. Okay, so let's start with the basic one, which is the adding. So first we need the printf function so that we would see our results. So we need to display integer. So working with numbers, you would just say like 15 plus 6, right? And run this, and you have your 21, right? So that's the first mathematical operator, which is the addition. Add two operands. Then the next one is subtraction, which is symbol subtraction. Okay, so I've showed you like we have been just using numbers that we have been just using constants. We cannot change this while the program is running. So for now, let me also do the same example by making use of variables. So let's say we have got like let's create a variable int, and we want to hold num1, like number for number 1, and we will give this value, let's say 3. Then we want to make another one, num2, and we'll give this a value, let's say 5. So here now you can just come here and say num1 plus num2. So now you are adding your variables, because these variables, they are holding an integer data type, they can be added together. And also, since they are variables, you don't put any quotes here. So let's run this, and I have problems because I forgot to put the same R colors. Okay, let's run this, and we still having the results. So here we have initialized these variables. You could also have the values from the user, like for instance you could first prompt for a user to enter the number, like enter number. We could say actually enter first number, then we need a new line here, new line. Then we grab that number by scanning it, and we say we have to specify the data type. Then we also have to add the variable that is going to hold like num1. Okay, so here also we have a problem. Your variable should be on top of every program that you're going to be writing, because these instructions are right sequentially in order, so make sure you do that. Okay, so I just copied this and pasted this. Then we want to have a second number here, second number. Then here it is now num2, and we have now to remove these initial values that we have assigned to these variables. Let's quickly run this. So enter first number 12, enter second number 6, and so the result is 24. Are we adding here? Okay, we are adding. So here I added these inside the print function. You could also like create a variable here and say create a variable int sum, and you could also come here and say like sum is equals to num1 plus num2. Okay, so now instead of writing our code inside here, we will just display the sum, and since we have already calculated the sum here, so let me run this. Oh, there is a problem here. I just figured it out here now. Okay, let's run this. Interface number 12 of 45, we have got 57. So you could also add some detail here, like the sum is, you know, if it is necessary. I think I should. Okay, this one is 6. Okay, so we are done with the addition. Let me just put the subtraction. Also, it's the sum. It's now wasting time now, guys. Let's say 13, then 4, we have got 9, right? So the next mathematical operation I want to talk about is multiplication. So multiplication, so let me just comment out these. Okay, let me use the multiple lines. You'll find out all of my code will be commented. So since C will not recognize this, let me just explain a little bit about the multiplication. Okay, so the multiplication, I want to start up with an example that we're gonna just multiply numbers directly, the constants inside here. So let's say 12, and for multiplication you use the asterisk. Then let me put 2 in here. Then let me run this. So it's 24, right? So we made use of constant numbers here. So we could also make use of variables, like for instance, now let me remove these comments. So we have our int num, and here instead of sum, now we need a product. So this variable, we call it a prod, And then here this sum is no longer sum, it's a product. And for the mathematical operation we make use of an asterisk. Then we write like the product is and that, and here we have to change the variable here again and put it to prod. So we could also make use of the multiplication by getting the values from the user. So the other one that I wanna really tell you that you're gonna need also, let me just finish everything. Okay, the other one is division, and it's now the same. These now are different, so I wanna explain this. So this one, this percent now, it is mostly used when you wanna, let me remove everything because here I wanna emphasize really, I wanna explain this. Okay, so let's start with the print function and let's print out the value that we're gonna get. So percent %d. So if you are using a percent, it will give you the remainder of what you have divided. Like let's say if I say 5 and then percent, it will be working as a division, right? It is saying 5 divide, let's say, by 4, and what is going to give me, it is not going to give me the value of 5 divided by 4, but it is going to give me the remainder. Okay, let me run this. So it will give me 1, right? So 5 divided by 4 is 1, remainder 1, right? So let me let me use 2 here. It's also the same. Let me change it. Let me change the value here. Let me use 8 and 3 here. So 8 divided by 3, it is giving me the remainder, as you can see. So probably this mod function, you need it because the modulus, you need it because there are some questions, maybe let's say for leap year, you would need to use this kind of a mathematical operator. So the other one I would like to use, so here it's the same, you could use variables also. The other one I want to explain is this plus plus, because we're gonna be using that very much often when we got to the looping. So this one, it is the same. Let me just create a variable here, and I'll call it num for number, and this variable, I'll just give it an initial value, let's say 1, right? And then here I would need a print function to print out the value. So percent %d to print out the value. We wanna print out this number, this num. Okay, we wanna print out this num. So now this mathematical operation, we're gonna be using it very often. This plus plus. So I wanna give you like how it works. So if I say like num now, right? Num is equals to num plus 1. What will happen here, it will just say the value in the num is, it will give this num a new value. So it is saying the value that is already in here in this variable plus 1, that is what will happen. So if I run this, I forgot to put the semicolon here. If I run this, you find out we now have 2. So let me change now this num value and put it 8 on 8, and if I run this again, we have 9. So it will just add up a new number. So now it's the same. If I say like num, right? What is happening? If I say like num, then I go like plus plus and run this, we have 9. So that's the same. It's the shortcut of doing this, of doing this is the shortcut, right? So if you wanna have the same results, you could just go like num and then you write plus plus. That's how you get you add the variable number with just one value. So it's also the same with the subtraction, minus minus, it will do the same. Let's say here now I use the minus, so our answer should be 8, right? And I forgot again to put this closing semicolon. So we got 7 because we have 8. I'm sorry, I thought in this variable we've got 9. So now the value will be 7 because it's saying 8 minus 1, 7. So do we have any other operator? We have done with all the operators in C. So now let's just answer one question from CAT question paper 2020. Now let's take a look at the questions from this question paper. This was 2020 July, a computer application for engineers. So this first one question, it has to do with arrays. So we haven't done arrays yet, so let's leave it. And section B, answer 3 questions. Write a program to calculate a rectangle. Yeah, 20 marks. Okay, we can do this because this is basic. Define an operator, explain example of arithmetic, relationship, logic operators, and whatever. Okay, the if statements, the practice statement, if else statements, we haven't done that, but we'll be doing this on this video. So the printf, you now know. Define the following. Printf, you now know. The int, you also now know. And the for loop, we are going to get that. So just keep on watching this video. So let's try out this question number 2, and let's see if we can get these 20 marks. So write a program to calculate area of a rectangle. So this one is a pretty simple question. The first thing that you need, and we haven't been told whether the values that we are going to get for like the length and the width, if we are going to get this from the user or we are just using the initial values. So anyways, we'll just do both so that you get the concept. So let's start with just creating a variable that is gonna hold the length. I'm not sure if this is the spelling, but it should be. Okay, so we have a variable which should hold the length, and let's start with the making a program that already have some values in the variables. So for the rectangle, to find the area of a rectangle, let's first create a variable again to hold the width, and we give this a value. Then also we're gonna need a variable to hold the area, right? And this time we don't give it a value since we haven't found the area yet. So the basic formula to find area of a rectangle is length times width, right? So here now it's area is equal to length, and times, we make use of an asterisk, times width times the width. Then we cross this. So now we wanna present the value, the answer. So this is a whole number, so we have to specify the data first, %d for the integer. Then we write the variable which is area. So we could also put some detail in here in this print function, like we could say like the area of a rectangle is. So let's run this and see if we have done that correctly. Okay, so you now do the math and see if it is correct. But it should be correct. 6 times 4, right? It's 24. Okay, so now let's get the values from the user. This time we don't want to just use the values which are already in the program. So let's say we want to get the values from the user. So we still have our variables. Now what we just want to have is the values for these variables. So first thing you have to know is that I talked about this. I said the programs are run accordingly in order. So the first thing we want to do is to prompt a user for the length. So here I'll say enter length. This is the correct spelling of length. I forgot to put in n here. Okay, and here also I need an n. So in the length of a rectangle, then we're gonna need a new line here, and so we have prompted a user for the length of the rectangle. So now what we want to do is to get the length of the rectangle and put it in this variable length. So we use the scanf function, and we specify the data type, which is an integer. Then after that we put an and %. Then we write the variable, which is the length. Then we have prompt a user and get the value of the length. Now we want to also do the same for the width. So just copy this and paste this for the sake of time. So I'll just now change this to width. Then here we also want to get the width. So let's run this now, and the length of a rectangle, let's say is let me use small numbers so that we can confirm this. And then now the width, let me use 6, so the answer should be 12, right? The area of the rectangle is 12, so which means this small question we done and done. So now let's move on to functions. What is a function? That's your question, right? Okay, so a function is just a bunch of code that performs a specific task. So let's say you have like some instructions that perform a specific task, and you want to put those instructions in a container. That container is what will be called as a function. So let me first explain how a function works. Let's say we want to build a bicycle, right? And we have a manager, and we also have the engineers. So the engineers, let's say the engineers are the function, right? They make bicycle. Their instructions are to make bicycle. Then the manager wants a bicycle. So what will happen is that the manager will give instruction to the engineers. The manager will call the engineers, right? You will not give instruction, because the engineers already have instruction on how to make a bicycle. So the manager will just call the engineers and say, I want a bicycle, right? Then the engineers will perform the task. So there are two basic types of function. We have the returning type function and the non-returning type function. So let me explain the returning type function first, because it's easy to understand. Okay, so the returning type function, now it is where maybe the manager has to give all the function are able to get the parameters. Let me explain what are the parameters. So let's say the manager wants a bicycle, right? The manager first have to give the engineers resources, like some parts, and those resources are what we are going to call parameters. Then the engineers will know how to make a bicycle. The manager won't need to know how to make a bicycle. You just call the engineers, and the engineers does the rest. So the returning type now is when the engineers finish making the bicycle, they will have to return the bicycle back, right? That's the returning type function. But now if we are dealing with a non-returning type function, it is when the manager gives the engineer the resources, which are the parameters, and call out the engineers and say make a bicycle. And after doing so, the manager won't need the bicycle back. which means the engineers now do whatever they want with the bicycle, right? So they can ride it, they can do whatever they want. So that's how the non-returning type function works. So let's do this in our code blocks here. So let me start by explaining how to make a function. So here at first we have been using this main function, which is the most important function in C. It is the one that you always execute whenever we wanna execute anything, any instruction. So this main function is our manager, right? Take this function as our manager, right? And then we want to create another function which we will build another function. Let's say that function is the engineers, the ones who will build the bicycle. So I said we want to start with the non-returning type function. So a non-returning type function, how do we know that it's a non-returning type function? Sorry about the background noises. Okay, let me explain once again. So how do we know that it's a non-returning type function? We make use of a word void. So now let me start with the simple example here. Let's say we want to create a function that will say hello to the user. So that function, we have first to write the function name. So here we can say like say hello. So this one is the engineer, right? It's the function whose job is to say hello, right? So that's the job for this function. I don't know how this end up. So now we have to specify that it's a function by putting this parentheses, and we have to put the open and closing curly brackets. And now our instructions are to be written inside the opening and closing brackets. So here we have to select printf and then hello, right? So that's the main use of this function is supposed to say hello. So now we haven't called the manager first. This main function, you have to call this function for it to work. So this function will be at leave until the manager calls it. So let me first run this and see what I'm saying. So you find out that we have nothing here, and it's because the manager didn't call that other function. So how do we call now the other function? We just type in the name of that function, and now let's run this. So it's saying hello, right? So here that's how this function works. So I said here when I was giving you an example, I said like the manager can give these engineers resources, right? So let's make a basic function like that. So let's say we want a function that will say hello to the user, right, and writes the username. So the manager here is able to pass the name to this function. So that name that the manager here will pass to this main function is what we call the parameter. So here also we have to specify the data type of the parameter, and we also have to name the parameter. So it's the same as we did with making variables. You're just making a variable here. So let's say it's a name, right? And then we put these curly brackets to show that it's a string. Sorry, these are square brackets, I'm sorry about that. Then we could display that like hello, then percent format specifier, and this is a string. Then we write our variable here, which is the name. Then here we have done that. Now this function is expecting a character, it is expecting a string from the manager. So this is a parameter, right? So here now the manager can just say like the manager passes the name to this function. So let's run this and see what I'm saying. So it's now writing hello Tinebimbo. So here the manager is giving this function. So we should stop calling this the manager, but I'm using the manager because I want you to understand, right? So this function is this main function is the one that execute functions, execute and everything, right? So it's giving the say hello function this parameter, which is the nevimbo, and this now main function will take the parameter and use it. So that's how the non-returning type function works now. As I have said, when you're working with engineers and they finish building their bicycle, then now the decision is up to them to do whatever they want with it. So that's how this function is working. It's now using what it have been given, and what it's now executing what the resources, and now it's doing what it wants. So it's now printing hello, and the name is, that's what it wants, right? So we are not returning this to this part. So now let me show you how now these instructions are executed. So we have this main function, right? That's where our programs are always going to be studied, to be executed. So let's say we have print, and then I say like top, and I need a new line, and let me just copy this and paste this down here, and say bottom. Is this spelling? No, it's not. Let me just say the part for bottom. I have problems with spelling. Okay, so what will happen now is, let me run this and see what when I explain. Okay, I didn't put a new line here. We need like a new line here. Okay. So if you look at the output here, we said print top, right? And it's printing top, right? Then we now have this next instruction, which is saying hello. So what we'll see how to do is, first it will go and call this function which says hello, and print whatever that is inside here, and does whatever and do whatever that is inside here. And after doing that, then it follows the next instruction, then it calls the next instruction. So that's how it is doing: top, then hello, nevimbo, then the bottom, right? So that's how the non-returning type function works. So let's do another example. Let's do a few other examples. So now let me go and let's do a mathematical example, right? So let's say we want a function that will calculate sum for us, and print the output. So we say void, right? Because it's a non-returning type function, and then we want it to print the sum. So we could like give it the name sum, because it's for calculating sum. And then I'll put parameters later, because there's something that I forgot to tell you. Okay, we make use of open and closing curly brackets. There's this one which I didn't delete from the last session. Okay, so now what do we wanna do? We wanna calculate sum, right? And for sum to have sum, you gotta need two numbers to add, at least two numbers, not two numbers, by the way. So you could also, let's say we wanna pass some parameters to this function. So we call this sum. We are calling the sum, and then we could give this sum the numbers. So there's something that I didn't tell you, which I want to tell you now, that you are able to pass as many parameters that you want to the sum, right? Let's say I want to pass 12 and 8. You just write the value that you want, and you put a comma, then the other value. Then here now for the parameters, you also have to create variables. You have to create the parameters or the variables that will link up with this data that is coming from the manager, right? We're still using the manager here. Okay, so let's create so this variable is gonna hold an integer that is going to be passed here. So it's num, I'll call it num1 for the number 1. Then we also need another number, which is int, and then we could say num2, right? So now we are having first number and the second number, and we could also have like even more than these two numbers. I think we should do that later. So now we wanna calculate sum. So for sum, first we need a variable, right? That is going to we need, let me use a different name here. So let's say total, right? So the total is equals to num1 plus num2, right? So that's our mathematical equation to find sum, right? So here now we said this is a non-returning type, which means whatever that we find in the total, we have to do with it. It's up to us to present it or to do whatever that we want with it. So here we would like to present it. So printf, and let me say the total. Oh, that's not the spelling of total, and you left me with that. Anyways, let's just keep on using that. So I tried to write like total here. You have to write a good spelling if you want. Okay, we want %d because we are going to be holding integer, and then here we have to specify where we are getting our value, which is from the total here, right? And let me run this. So we have like the total 24. Is this true? 12 plus 8, is it 24? I'm not sure, but it must be 20. Okay, so that was a lie. We totally did something stupid here. Okay, oh yeah, I see where I messed up. So 12 plus 8 is not 28. It was giving us what? It's giving us what? It's giving us 24. That's not true, and it's because it's adding 12 plus 12. I said num1 plus num1, and this num1 is holding 12, so it's saying 12 plus 12. So instead of num1 plus num1, it's num1 plus num2, right? Let's run this. Okay, so now we are having a correct answer. So that was me being pretty much stupid. Okay, so let's try passing out let's say three parameters, and I'll put this 7, and we have to add another parameters here. So int and num3, then the total here will be like plus num3, and let's run that. Okay, is this true? Yeah, it's 12 plus 8, 20 plus 7, 27. Okay, so you could pass as many parameters that you want, and you could also pass even strings or text. Let's just try out that. So in let's pass what? Let's go back to our previous example. Okay, we had this. So let's say here let me remove this. So this was our previous example, our first example. So we let's say we wanna pass in the name of the name of the user, and we also wanna pass out the age. So let's say the age is 14. It's like now I'm 20. I just turned 20 yesterday. Okay, so here also we would like to create a parameter that is gonna hold, or a variable that is gonna hold the age. So we say age here, and for presenting we say hello, then the name, let's say it's Tinevimbo, and we could say here you are, and then we wanna present what? We wanna present the age, which is %d, and the old, 20 years old, no, 20 years old. And then here we specify where the value of this age is gonna be taken from, which is the age. Oh, where am I writing this? Okay, which is the edge. All right, so let's run this and see if what I'm talking makes sense. Okay, hello Tinevimbo, you are 20 years old. Okay, so we have passed in the string and we also have passed in the edge. So let's say we could control D for duplicating, control D for duplicating. I told you this. So let's say we wanna have like different parameters here. We have now got free and he is 25, and we have Juritronics and he is 15, and let's run this. So now what will happen now is that we need new lines here. We need new lines here. We need new lines here to make this uncomplicated. Or let me just print a new line here. Printf, and we want a new line. We want a new line. Let me run this. The easiest way was just to write a slash and n inside here. Anyways, this also works. So we have hello Tinevimbo, you are 20 years old. Hello Godfrey, you are 25 years old. Hello Juritronics, you are 15 years old. So how is this working? It first executes this instruction. So by doing so, it is passing this parameter, the name, and pass the edge to this, and then it executes whatever that is inside here. And after doing so, we know that we are done with this semicolon, and we follow the next instruction. And the next instruction was to print a new line. So we go down and we pass different, then we go to the next instruction. Here now we are passing different parameters. So that is okay. Now let's talk about the returning type of function. So the returning type, you make use of a return statement to return whatever that you have gathered from the parameters that you have been given and the instruction. Let's just jump into the return type and explain that way. Okay, so to make a returning type, and by the way, you have to write your function on top of this main function if it is a returning type function. Okay, so with a non-returning type function, we said void, which means we told C that we don't want to return anything, right? But now if it is a returning type function, we have to tell C that we want to return a value from the function, and then we give it the data type that we want to get from the function. So I will start maybe with an int. We want to return an integer, a whole number from the function, right? So let's do a simple example here. Let's say I want to create a function that will calculate that will cube a number. So let's say basically, like if I say 3 cubed, it will be like 3 times 3 times 3, right? So that's cubed, which is also basically the same as 3 it's so the same as 3 to the power what, 3 to the power 3, right? So that's what we want to do, right? So we want to cube a number, so we want to make a function that will cube a number. So let me explain again what is a return type function. So we said we have our engineers, which is the function, and they will build a bicycle, right? So in our non-returning type function, then the engineers were able to decide whether to do whatever they want with the bicycle. And in our non-returning type function, we displayed the value, which means the engineers can even ride the bicycle. But now in returning type function, the engineers their job is just to make whatever they make and then return the value, which is the bicycle, right? So here that's the same. We make a function, we wanna cube a number, so we give it a name, cube, then we put this parenthesis, and now the parameter, which is the resources that we want to give the function, we create a variable in here which is int, and we want a number, right? Then after doing so, we don't put this semicolon, we put the curly brackets, okay, and then we write our statement inside here. Then we wanna create we wanna calculate what we wanna calculate the cube of a number. So we're gonna create a variable here. Let's say result. This will hold the results of the cube number. So we could now say result, this one, man. Result is equals to what? It's equals to cube. No, it's not cube. It's equals to cubed. It's equals to num. It's just num, right? Okay, so it's num times num times num. Okay, we have cubed our number here, and now we tell the function that we want to return the value. So we type in like return, then we type in the value that we want to return, and it is the result. We want to return the result, right? Then in here now, this is our manager, right? We're still using the manager. The manager now, we have to call out the function, right? The function cube and cube the number. So for calling, we said we use what? We use like cube, and then we put the value that we want. Let's say we want to cube out 4, right? But then here now, this manager is the one who have the powers, or who have the value of the cubed number. He now has the bicycle, right? We are making use of our bicycle. He now has the bicycle, and this one is a pretty cool looking bicycle. It's made from cardboard box. Okay, so we now have the bicycle, which is the cube of this number, but we wanna print out the value, right? With the non-returning type, we printed the value inside the function. But this time now we are not going to do that, because we don't have that power. We just calculate the result and we return the result. Then the manager will decide what to do with the result. So even I could even use this result to calculate other things. Like I could use okay, let me start with the simple thing. So let's start by just printing out. We want to print out this, and when we have been doing some variables, we have been printing out some variable. We said if we want to print out like a number, right? You first specify the data type of the number, and it is D in our case because it's a whole number, right? And now when we have been printing out the numbers, we would like put a number in front of here, and then we'd print it, or we would have like put a variable name here. Like let's say it was a number, we would have put a variable name here which is holding the number. So in our case now, we wanna print out the value, the number that is going to be fetched from what? From the function cube. And let's run that. So 4 cubed is giving me 64. Let me just confirm this before I even go further, because last time we have this kind of problem. Okay, so it's true, it's 64. So as I've said, like we could use this value from this main function to do other stuff. Like we could even use that. Let's say I want to calculate something. Let me just say I want to calculate like sum, and that sum, let me first create another number. Int, it's supposed to be int, and let's say it's number. Okay, so the results now. Okay, so let's say we wanna calculate sum of this number and the cubed number, right? So we could like okay, so we want another variable here, it's int, right? Then we want to use the cubed number, right? So what we have to do now is that we want to assign value to this cubed number, and to do that we call out the function, right? So we use like the cube, right? And we call out the function, and we give it a value, right? So what this one we no longer need it here. Okay, so what is happening here is that I'm passing 4, right, to this function cube, and then it finds the cubed of 4, right, and return it, and that value, the cubed of 4, is going to be stored in this cubed number, right? Then we want to calculate sum, right? So we said sum is equals to, let's say we want to calculate sum of the number plus, which is number plus the cubed number, right? So now we would like to print out the sum, right? So we want to also give value to this number, so let me just give it a small value so that we will struggle. Let me run this. Okay, we are now having 66. So we said like cubed of 4, which is 4 times 4 times 4 is equals to 64, right? Then plus this number 2. So what is happening now is that the manager have the power to do whatever he wants with the bicycle. So we just call out the engineers and say, hey, this is what I want, cube this thing for me, which is, I'm saying, like, I'm giving you the resources for the bike, make the bicycle, right? Then it's now up to me, like I can now say I wanna ride the bicycle, or I wanna give the bicycle to my kids, or I wanna sell the bicycle. That is what we're now doing. We are now summing the cubed number with another number, so you could do other stuff like, yeah, right? Then here now, after doing so, we would like to print out the sum. We are now playing with the value that we got from this function. So that's how the returning type function. I'll explain it more after we have done some if statements. Now we are doing if statements. So if statements, they kind of just add some intelligence to our program. So I can't just explain this. Let's just jump into it, and I'll explain as we go further. So let's say we want to create a program. So we're gonna do like 2 examples here. I'll use the if statements to just create a simple basic program to check whether the number to give us the biggest number, and then we're gonna make another example where we will make a program that will validate users who wanna enter into a club. Like, you have to enter the password first, then it will check if you are more than first it will check if you are more than 18, and then it will check if your password is correct. So those are the 2 examples that we're gonna do on the if statements. So so what should I start with? Let me start with this simple one. So I'm gonna use a function here, so that if you have forgot about the functions, you still catch up. So let's say we want a function, right? It will return an integer, which is the maximum number, right? So this function, we're gonna call it a max, right? It's gonna hold a maximum number. Then so that's the name of the function, and in this function we're gonna pass in some parameters, which are the numbers that we want to compare, right? So int, that is num1. This time let me just write number 1. It's too big, let me just use num1 instead. Okay, you just get me, right? You just get what I'm trying to say here. Then we're gonna need a num2, then a function. Okay, so for the if statement now, we want to compare these numbers, and we want to get out the biggest number. So we will need a variable that is gonna hold the bigger number, right? So I will just call this result, right? So if statement is just pretty simple English. So if I just say like if, and then I wanna ask you, like, is this number bigger than this? Can I, oh, I just used a Shona word. Okay, let's say num1, right? If num1 is greater than the num2, if num1 is greater than the num2, then we want a condition. We want to tell what to do if it is true. So here you put the open curly brackets, which is just saying then it's just saying like do this, right? Then the closing curly bracket is just saying like we're done doing whatever that you have put inside here. So we wanna like say the results. The results is equals to G. Did I just say G? Some shona now coming, some shona ways are now coming. Okay, so the result is now equals to num1, and if num1 is greater than num2, which means num1 is greater, the result is equals to num1, right? That's the bigger number. Now if it is not true, what should we do? Like if it is not true, we should get out of this if statement, and then we say like else. So this is just pretty simple English, and we give it a new condition, like open curly brackets for a new condition, closing curly brackets to close that condition. So else, if num1 is not greater than 2, it simply means now num2 is the greater one, right? It's the bigger one. So the result now is now equals to what? It's now equals to 2, right? So that's now our result. Then after doing so, we wanna now return the result, right? We want the bigger number. We wanna now return the bigger number. So like always, we now want to call the function and pass in some parameters in this main function. So we can print out the bigger number. That's the best we could do. Like we could say like the bigger number is, then %d, since we are presenting the decimal here. Then here we call out the function max, and we put in some parameters. Let's say 13 and 7, right? So we want a bigger number from this. Give us the bigger number. So the bigger number is 13, right? It's true. So let me change here and go like for 74. Let's see if it is gonna give us a new number, different number. So the bigger number is 74. So that's one way of using if statements. So the basic thing that you have to know here is that let me space out so that you see. Okay, we have our if statement here, right? It is asking for a condition, and if the condition is not true, we write like an if else statement out of these curly brackets, and we give these new curly brackets, and we give it what we want, and then we return the result. So let's do another example of an if statement, and this time we want to make a simple program that will prompt a user to enter his or her age, and if the age is less than 18, the user cannot enter. Then we also want to prompt a user to enter his or her what could I say? I've never entered into a club, so I really don't know what should I say. The user have to enter like the maximum number of the drinks he wants or she wants to buy, right? The drinks meaning the alcohol, right? Okay, so if the drinks are more than, let's say, are more than 6, the user cannot enter because it's dangerous. And if the drinks are more than 2, then the user also cannot enter because the user won't provide any profits to us. So there's no practical thing like that, but let's just do it in case for us to understand the if statements. So we're gonna need a variable that is gonna hold the age, and we're gonna need a variable that is gonna hold like the shots, the number of shots. I don't know if this is the spelling for the shots. And then we wanna prompt a user now to enter your age, right? Then I think we need a new line here, and then we need to get that age, so we use the scanf function, and we specify the data type, and then now we have to put the age of the customer into a variable age. Then we have to do the same for the shorts. Enter like number of drinks you wanna buy. You want to buy, right? And then we wanna get the value here. Then now what did I do? We have to use the if statement. So this time we're gonna use something that we didn't use before. Let's say we say if, right, statement. So we want the person to be more than 18, so we just put our condition here. We say like if the age is greater than or equal to what, to 18. Then we also want a condition that the person have to buy drinks which are more than let me still use that shots. So these shots is just meaning the number of drinks, right? Maybe it might confuse you. Let me just say number of drinks. Okay, so let's get the number of drinks here. Number of drinks, right? Then here if the person entered the number of drinks which are less than 2, the person can enter. So we say like if number. So if we want now two conditions to be true for something to happen, or more than two conditions to be true, like all the conditions have to be true for us to have a certain result. So we put the double ends and we say like so it's number of drinks, right? Number of drinks should be what, should be less, or should be greater than 2, right? And we need another condition here. We say the number of drinks should be less than 6, right? Then we put the open and closing curly brackets. So we say like printf. Then we want to tell the user that you can enter or not. So we say like you can enter. So the person can enter only if these conditions are all true, right? So let's run this and see what we get. Enter your age. Then I say like 12. Enter your number of drinks you want to buy. I say like 8. So here we have nothing because I have put it out the conditions which are not true. So let's say I have 1 which is true. Let me try again. Like my age is like 19, right? And enter the number you want to buy, and I go like I just want to miss out. So the age is true. Then the number of drinks I want to buy, I want to put 9. So we still have nothing. So let's try now. If we put the correct conditions, enter your age. Like my age is, I'm now 20, so I can enter a club. Enter the number of drinks you want to buy. Let's say 4. Now you have got the message you can enter. So we use now an else statement if these conditions are not true. Like else we wanna print that you cannot enter. Let's run this. Oh, I forgot to close this with the semicolon. Okay. And the number of age, I'm now 20. And the number of drinks, I wanna put like 29. I wanna drink a lot of drinks. You cannot enter. So that's another example we could use on the if statements. So there are a lot of things we could do with the if statements. So that's pretty much all. Now let's do some loops. So I want to just get some few questions from this paper. we want to answer those questions while at least we're doing some loops. So there's this question which is saying, what is the difference between a while and a do-while loop in C language? And there's also this question which is saying, like, define the following. The printf we did, the int we did, now we are left with the for loop, and the for loop is the one which we're going to be doing now. So I'll explain the while loop, the do-while loop, and the for loop. I'll explain the difference while at least we are doing some coding, which is fun. Okay, so what is the loop? What is the loop body? Why are they used? What the alpha there is? Okay, so let's say we want to repeat an instruction a number of times, or we want to repeat instruction when a condition is set maybe to true or false. We make use of loops. So we have got the while loop. The while loop, now we put the parenthesis and we put the curly brackets, and then we write the instruction that we want to repeat inside this loop. So that instruction will be the loop body. So let's say, for example, we want to print like hello. We want to print hello a number of times, and we want to print hello like 5 times, right? So to do this, we have to count till we reach 5. Like, we have to count, like we have printed 1, then we count again till we get to the 5. So we need a variable that is gonna count for us. So int, and I'll just call this count, and I'll set it to 1. The initial value of this count is equals to 1. Then we now have to put the termination the termination condition inside these brackets, right? We want to give the condition to the while loop. Like we'll be saying, whenever this is true, repeat writing the print hello, right? So we are starting with our count is the one which will be checking if we have reached the 5. So we will say, like, whenever the count is less than or equal to 5, right, we want you to print hello, right? So now we are not going to change the value of count for now. I want to show you what will happen. Like, our count right now is 1, right, and our count is less than 5, so it is going to print hello. So if I run this, it will repeat the hello. Oh, I forgot to close this. Okay, if I run this, it'll keep on like writing hello, and it's scattered everywhere. Let me use a new line and you'll see what I'm trying to say here. Let me create a new line. Every moment we write the hello, so it is keeping on writing. Like, look at this bar, it is keeping on going down, just writing more and more hellos. So we have to terminate this. We have to change the value of the count till it reaches the 5, which is our termination value. So to do so, we just go like count, then plus, oh no, we go like count is equals to count plus 1. So what are we doing here? We have the count which is equals to 1. So here we're saying count is equals to count plus 1. We have got count which is equals to 1 already, and the moment we print this, the next instruction that is going to execute is this one, right? Wait, I forgot to close it. So this instruction, we just saying like the count value, we adding 1 on the top of it. So we now have like count is equals to count plus 1, which is will come to 2, and we'll repeat this, and since the count it will be 2, it will be less than 5, so it will print again the hello. Then the next instruction is to add another value, and we have got 3, 4 till we reach 5, right? So if I run this now, you'll find out we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yellows. So that's the moment we reach 5, we terminate, we stop repeating. So let's say, for example, I can display like the value of the count here so that you could see what I'm saying, and I could say like count here. Let me run this again, and I have nothing. Probably I didn't do something. I just said percent. I didn't write like the percent D.
I was supposed to write %d. Okay, we have got 1 2 3 4 5, so it is counting the number, it is displaying the number. So what is happening is we have initially 1, so we're gonna print 1 here, and then we will add our another value to this count till we reach 5. So if you see this, we have got count is equals to count plus 1, and we said we can do this in a shortcut manner, which is count plus plus, which just mean you just add 1 to the value count, and you're still gonna have the same results, right? So now I wanna get to the point where I will compare the while loop and the do while loop. So let me change this value. Let's say I put 9 here. So 9 is not less than 5, right? And if I run this, nothing will be printed out, nothing, you see. So while loop will always check first the condition, and if the condition is false, nothing will be printed out, it will not execute. So it will always check out the condition first. It will only execute when the condition is true. So let's go to do loop and see the difference now. So the do loop, now you just have to go like, you just have to do like let me remove this condition. You just have to write like do, I have to write in small letters do, then we go like while count is less than, then let's put the small value in here and run this. I didn't close this. Is there anything that I didn't close? I don't think so. So the do loop now is first printing out the value of the count. Here we have got 1, then it will increment the count, then it will check if the count is less than or 5. So let me close this. Let's say now I put a big number here, 9, and I run this. You find out that we will first have like 9 here, right? Of which in our count we have got 9, and the do will first execute the first instruction, like it is saying like count is equals to it's saying like print count, right, of which it is 9. So that's what it has done here. It first printed out the value in the count, then increment, but then now it will check if the condition or if the count is less than or equal to 5, and now it is false, so it will not continue. So you find out the difference between these two is that the while loop will only execute when the condition is true, and the do loop will first execute the first instruction and then checks whether the condition is true or false. Now let's talk about the for loop. So first let me just quickly write the while loop. I wanna like compare the two while it's showing you. So let's put the termination condition here, and I don't have a variable here, so I just go like int. Then for now let me just use I, or we can continue with that count then. So the condition is repeat when count is less than or equal to 5, right? Then we wanna print out like printf. Then we wanna print out let's print out the number, the count number, and let's increment the count now. So the count plus plus increment. Let me run this and see if it is working. Okay, we didn't assign initial value here. Okay, we good to go. So where do we use a for loop now? A for loop, we use it when we know the number of times we want to repeat a loop body. So mostly I'll say we mostly use for loop most of the times. It depends now on the conditions or on the situations, but I mostly use for loops. for most of my problems. So let's try to create a program like this, which just print out the count, or which will print like hello 5 times. So for the loop now, for loop we will need 3 things inside this curly bracket. Excuse me. Then we put the parentheses. Then inside here we will need our initial value, the count variable, right? So we need a count here. So I could say, like, I could create that variable here. I will remove this, like we could say like count here, and I can remove this. Let me leave this for us to reference, then I'll just remove that later on. Then we say count is equals to 1. We give this count an initial value, right? So now the second thing that we need now is the termination condition, or the condition for us to repeat the for loop. So the condition now is that we want to repeat the loop when count is less than or equal to 5. Now here comes the third part. So we have got the condition. So here now in for loop, instead of just starting out by printing and then add a number, for loop allows you to first like add a number every time it runs. So we could go like count plus plus, or you could say count is equals to count plus 1, which is the same, or you could even use the count minus minus. So for now, let's start with the plus plus, right? And now we wanna have the loop body. I'll just copy this from the loop body from the while loop. Okay. So let me now remove this while loop. Oh, I wanted to remove the main function. What was that? Okay. So let's see if we did this right. No, I pressed the wrong button. I'm sorry about that. So we having the results here, right? So here let me change here and put some different things, like let's say we want to print a hello, like the number hello like 5 times, hello, and I didn't put a new line here, that's why the yellows are in straight line. Okay. Okay, now let's talk about arrays. I once talked about these arrays where we have been dealing with strings. Like we said, in C we don't have a string data type, so we have been manipulating the character data type to make a string. So that's the same that we are going to be doing here. We wanna hold like values in a container, which we'll call an array. Let's say for instance we have this large box here, and we have got partitions inside of it, and we have got a dog in the first partition, and we have got a cat in the third partition. Sorry. So to access these, let's say we want to get a cat, we make use of indexes. So indexes are just referencing numbers that we use on arrays, and always an index starts at 0. So let me use this example. Let's say we want to access D in this array. So we first need to know what index is D in, and it is in index 3. So there are no calculations that are done here. It's just that the indexes of an array always start at 0. So the first element is always in the 0 index. So let's say we have this array which is called in A, and we want to access numbers inside here. We first write the array name and curly brackets, then we specify the index value to get the value. So if we want 8, you just write A and brackets 3 to do so. So let's just jump into code blocks. So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna need to create an array that is gonna hold integer values for us. So let's say it's gonna hold like let me just call it an array. So you find out like C++ have got array, like this an array which is I've got an initial value in it. So it's different from mine. Mine has got in capital letter, or let me just use a different name, like number array. Okay, so when you are initializing an array, you are giving it values already. There's no need to give the maximum number of elements that you're gonna put. You just have to type in the elements that you need at that point. So I'm just randomly writing the values in here. Then I said when you want to access now the values inside an array, you make use of what we called an index. So number arrays, so this square brackets. So if I want to access, let's say 87, I have to know its index. So let's say 0 1 2 3 4. It's in the index 4. So I'll just type in 4 here, and I'll run this program. We have got 87. So that's how we reference. Let's say I wanna reference this last one. So it's 0 1 2 3 4 5 6. So it's in the index 6. Let me run that. We've got 0. So that's how we reference our numbers. So let's say let me control D to duplicate these, and I can reference, let's say I want to reference index 0, I want to reference index 3, I want to reference index 5. Let me run this, and we don't have new lines, so it's just going to write. So let me put new lines so that the values will be on their own. Okay, new line, run, and we have got 0, which is from index 6 with 0. Then we got 12, which is in index 0. We have got 9, which is in index 3, 0 1 2 3. We've got 34, which is in index 5. So that's how we reference when we wanna display. So it's also the same if we wanna put values in an array. So let's say our array is not initialized. So if our array is not initialized, what do? We put the maximum number of elements that we think it's gonna hold. So just put a small number here so that I don't stress out myself. So to put numbers, I'll just type in the array number, the array name, sorry, and the square brackets, and type in the reference you wanna put. So let's say 0 at index 0, I wanna put 13. Then I'll just duplicate this 1 2 3 4 5. Then we need another one, 6. So at index 1, at index 2, at index 3, at index 4, at index 5. And I wanna put different values in here. Let's say 19, then 20, then 6. Then now I have put in values in this array. So if I wanna check out that if it is true, I'll just like printf. Then I wanna access the value in index 4. Let me just randomly select 4. Then if I wanna print, if I run this, we have 13. It is in index 4. Is it true? Yes, it is true. So now it is the same with strings. We did the one with strings. We've been working with strings a lot of times, so you could also use it on doubles. So since we did on the strings, which are the text, and we did another one we have been doing with strings, and now we did an example in numbers, it means we just covered almost everything. So now the part now which is interesting is let's say we have got our array. Let me bring this back. Oh boy. Okay, let me bring back the array that I had. Okay, so that's the array that I want to use. So let's say we have our array here and we want to display everything in here. So you can just display the whole array at once. You firstly have to specify the positions for each and every element using the index. So we could use the for loop, which we did. Then here we need a variable, the starting variable. So I'll call this variable I, or you could call it index. Since we are dealing with index here, you have to put a meaningful name. So let me just use I for index, which is a little bit shorter. We can say it's equals to 1. No, now this time we cannot say it's equals to 1 because arrays always start at 0. So our initial value should start at 0 here, and then we need a termination point where our array loopings should stay end. So we have got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we should end at 6. So I will just go like when I is less than, let me try 6 and I'll find out when I is less than 6. Then we have to increment I. So I'll just say I plus plus. Then now we, for the printing part, printf, then we want to print out the numbers, right? D is numbers. Then now we would like let me put a new line here. Let me put a new line every time we put a number in the the array name. Then for referencing now, sorry, I have to put the square bracket here. For referencing now, we will use this I because this I will be counting, right? So it will start at 0, go for 1, 2, 3, 4 till it reaches 5. So here I think I should put 7, but let me leave it for now. I'll correct that later. So it will be counting. So since it will be counting, we can reference now everything here by putting the I here, right? So let me run this and see what we'll get here. So we are having 34, which means we are leaving 0 there. As I was saying, I should have put it on 7 instead. Okay, so let's run this, and we are having our whole arrays. We have been displaying the whole arrays here. Okay guys, that was all for C programming language. So if you liked the video enough to click the like button, please don't forget to, and also don't forget to leave some love by clicking on the subscribe button.